Good afternoon. Welcome to the tea table. I am so happy you've joined me today. As you can see outside, it's a gray, misty April cozy day. We've had some fabulous sunshine. Oh my, you think it's summer, but not quite yet. And we're listening to Albano Adagio, Tommaso Albano Adagio for strings. One of the most beautiful pieces of music ever composed. And we're going to just listen to a variety of music today. And I was thinking this morning, when the rain was pattering very gently, a very gentle spring rain, of how we always hear April in Paris, April in Paris. And I was in London in April, and it was such a beautiful month. And I think the weather is very similar in Paris. Everything's in bloom. Sometimes gentle splashy rain will come, and then the sun comes out. So I thought, let's go to Paris today, okay? And if you haven't gotten your tea yet, please pause, get your tea, and I'll be waiting for you. I brought you what I thought a nice French Parisian. It could even be the Ritz, or it could be a little coffee shop. They love the little cups, the matching gold and white. Gold and white is so French. It's everywhere in Austria too. It's a royal combination. And they often put a flower on the tray that they will bring you. So, I'm going to pour out, and this little pot just feels French to me. And I have a cup for you, but I couldn't fit it on the tray. So I know you'll understand. And often if you are alone in Paris on the train or in the hotel, they're going to bring you a darling little tray. Oh, I love when the steam comes. I love that. And put a splash of milk. Interesting little picture. Perfect for our family because no one takes sugar in their drinks. We take milk with tea and half cream with coffee, which most people do. Oh my goodness, isn't that beautiful? One of my favorite things is to put beautiful classical music on and drive through nature on a beautiful spring day or autumn day, any day. The other day, I was so busy. I'd had so much going on. And I was given a gift, like many of you are, for my birthday, a Starbucks card. And I thought, okay, I'm going to go have my venti dark Italian pour over. And I went and got it. It was 4 p.m, a little late for coffee, but on my Classical King FM came the Brandenburg Concertos. I turned it up, the sun was out, I rolled the windows down. I thought I can do anything. This is so empowering, the music, the coffee, the beauty. And that's what we have to do. We have to empower ourselves. We have a lot to do. All of you have a lot to do. I know you do. Whether you're a full-time student, a mother, a young mother, or a grandmother, or retired. I've talked to more retired people. They say we're busier when we're retired. They suddenly are doing so much. So we have to take care of ourselves. And sometimes you just have to have that really enriching alone time. Oh my, okay. I thought this time I have to bring a treat. My husband, he's providing this because this is his little treat. And so I'm borrowing it from him. And it is a very special piece of peach pie. Now, doesn't that look French? They love the citrus, the apricots, the pears, the peach, and they make these fabulous desserts. I'm serving it in silver, and then I have it on the same matching little gold cup as the teacup. And I put something on the tea table today that I thought was inspiring. And many of you have these kind of things in your home. You never use them. They're in a china closet or a buffet or in a silver chest, and they're just put away for a rainy day. But the main goal of the tea table is to utilize and use all the beautiful things we have. Yes, well, this is a very old, it's sterling silver, and it's a pastry server, and it's Norwegian. And one way you can tell sterling silver is it's very light because it's sterling. So it's very expensive. They're not going to put as much heavy silver. It's going to be more delicate. And one thing, when you eat with sterling, and say you're eating a bowl of hot soup or something hot, you can feel the heat in the spoon when it's sterling. I love that. You may not have a whole set, but you may have a few pieces. And you may find pieces. If you're a thrifter, so many people have just dumped their silver, their china, and they've gone into this very, very minimalist mentality. And so there's all this gorgeous stuff floating around that really was never there 20, 30, 40 years ago. So this is a time to pick something like this up. And it's so nice at a table. You can serve your guests, or if it's a self-serve, you can put it on the plate. And I tell you, I feel just a few pieces like this really make a difference. I notice when I go to a gathering and there's one lovely piece of something, it's very outstanding. Yes, we don't have to have tons. It can be just a little bit. Well, this is April, and I'm in Washington State. And these are rhododendrons. Yes, they grow wild. They grow everywhere. They grow every single color. And I've put them in this purple vase. Isn't that just absolutely stunning? They're white cream, but you know, some of them on the bush had deep little pink touches, but now they're just white. I don't know. But there is every color of rhododendron. And what's nice to do is to have a variety. If you have, I don't have rhododendrons growing in my yard. And I was able to pick these off a bush that was public domain. Let's put it that way. They were up for grabs and I just took a few. Yes, and I'm so grateful. I love them. And they've lasted. I've had them in this vase now for at least 5 days. I think flowers, there is a certain time you pick the flowers and they last. And I am not always certain of what time that is, but I know that with hydrangeas last summer, when I went up in the Olympic Peninsula, they grow wild, bushes and bushes of hydrangeas, the beautiful purple. And I picked many just off the road. And they have lasted. I must have got them at the right time. It's all so fragile with flowers, isn't it? Yes. Well, I have a fun plate that has been in my kitchen forever. It stands behind some of my flour and sugar things, but it's two girls in Paris and it says Cafe Paris. Isn't that darling? And there is a famous place in Paris called Cafe Paris. Now, I don't have a hat on today. I wanted to wear this shawl, which it has a little label on it, and it, you know, many of you have these where it says, did it come off? No. It says Pastrina. And I know that's a pure wool, and I need to look it up. I should have looked it up before the tea talk. I'll look it up and we'll talk about it. But this shawl has the colors, if you can see. It is so beautiful. And with the weather today, I just felt like wearing this shawl. And I thought it's a nice in-between. It's not really, it could be winter, summer, spring, or fall. But it just felt right for this kind of cozy. I remember being in Vienna with my daughter Elizabeth, and we were with Karen and Helen, and we had a lot of rainy days. And we would go to the monasteries. Karen was such a good guide. Went to so many monasteries, would see the cathedral, then we'd have lunch, and it would be kind of misty and rainy, not cold. And I loved wearing kind of what I would imagine to be Viennese colors and tones. And then the sun would come out. And now that was in July. And then there would be thunder and lightning, and then the sun would come out. I love that. I love variety of weather. I really do. So today I just kind of had that feeling. I thought, let's go to Paris. And I've had this purse before on the Tea Talk, but I love this. This is my little true vintage little purse that has the real leather lining, the old world leather, that wonderful brown leather lining. And I have something in here that I am going to show you. What could it be? Well, I got this at a little thrift shop, but I really got it for you. I said, this has to go on the Tea Talk because look what it is. The Orient Express. It's a little pin that someone got, but it says China. Wait. Is that true? Does it? Yes, it says China Orient Express. But it has all the symbols, so you know what? China must have done an Orient Express. But it's just like a little pin that they would probably have given the people as a little souvenir. It ended up in the little thrift shop. I got it for almost nothing. But I thought, it's so special. Just, you know, China is very good at imitation and reproduction. And actually, the original Orient Express would have been going from London to Paris, through Germany to Vienna, to Budapest, Hungary, and then it would go down into Turkey and touching those Asian, kind of the beginnings of the Silk Road, which did go to China, the Silk Road. Well, now I brought another special thing. Now, because it's just us, I loved my birthday this year, and I got so many beautiful cards from friends and family. But I got a card a little bit late from my beloved daughter, Victoria. She lives far away, so she had to mail it. And this is what I loved it. And she put Lady Susan Shoemaker with beautiful penmanship. And this, I said, this is for the tea table, if I've ever seen it. She sent me this card with the lady a cake on her head, carrying a cake with jewels. And I just love this. And it said, and eat cake and have a wonderful birthday. And the whole thing is sparkles, jewels, and there's the hat is a cake. And I thought, this is tea table material, so I'm sharing with you. And it was fun getting a card late. When you forget someone's birthday and then you remember, send them a card. It will make their birthday last longer. Yes. Now, for some reason, this is repeating. Maybe we'll go on to the next. This is the 50 greatest pieces of classical music with the London Philharmonic Orchestra. And this is Edvard Grieg, the Norwegian composer. And it's called Peer Gynt Suite Number 1. I visited at Grieg's home in Bergen, Norway. Oh, that had to be the most beautiful composer artist house there couldn't be a better. It sits under a waterfall in a fjord, this beautiful white house, and all his rooms, it's a museum. He was so inspired and he wrote so beautifully and dramatically. And last Saturday, I went to my little local Norwegian fair, and that was really fun. I always learn something new. And there's a lady there that she doesn't wear the traditional costume. She wears like an apron, and then she wears very heavy Baltic amber all over. And I always like this lady, and she has like little vintage Scandinavian things. And I said, what is your costume? Because she said it's called a Viking's apron. And they make them out of heavy cloth, so they're more plain, decorated with amber. And it was so interesting. I did not know that, because the actual Norwegian costumes are probably not, I'm not just saying this because I'm Norwegian, they are the most beautiful costumes in all the world. The detail, the silver on them, the gold on them, the beads, the embroidery work. I have a friend who's Swedish, and she's getting a Norwegian costume because she loves them so much. And each little fjord and village has different, they're very, just like the Scottish tribes have all the different plants, they have all the different costumes. Well, they're very expensive. I don't have a Norwegian costume. They are handed down generationally. And my grandmother, when she came from Norway in 1923, I don't think they brought with them their costumes. They were going to be Americans. They wanted to speak English. That was the mentality in those days, you know? So, but they're passed down generationally, and they're very, very, very valuable, very expensive. In fact, my friend told me that they often have to lock them up in a special closet because people will take them. They are that valuable. Isn't that interesting? Because I didn't think Norway was a country where you would have a problem with theft, but I guess every place does now. But everybody at this, they all wear the Baltic amber. And this, you know, my rings are Baltic amber. This is royal amber. I wear this all the time. I have lots of rings, but I just love this. And then this is a little of the brown traditional Baltic amber I put on today to show you. But it's from the Baltic Sea. Well, the Baltic Sea borders on Sweden, Estonia, Finland, Germany, all those, that's why they're called the Baltic countries. And even Norway is a little bit to the west of that, but the Vikings were in those seas. And so they consider Baltic amber their stone. Isn't that interesting? They consider it their stone. My jewels today are not Baltic amber. They're just brown and gold, but they have the brown and gold color. But the real Baltic amber, fascinating. You know what it is? It's petrified wood, and it's very light, and it floats, and it takes hundreds and hundreds of years to get into this hard stone-like crusty piece of amber, and they'll take it out of the ocean, and then they carve it and they cut it and they make it into jewelry. They use it for other things. They'll make little boxes, and probably many of you have heard of the Amber Room, which was the famous room. I think I've talked about it. You can look it up on Google. It was in the St. Catherine's, I believe, Palace in Russia, in St. Petersburg, and the Germans knew about it. These Nazis, they wanted art. They wanted art, they wanted silver, they wanted this amber. This room was huge, floor to ceiling, all, it had been kind of formed into flat plates so that it was, you have to look it up online, and there are documentaries of it. The Nazis went in, dismantled the Amber Room, and stole it and took it and hid it, and it's never been found. They're still looking. No one knows where it went. It's amazing. So perhaps the people that stole it, they died in the war, or they didn't, and they died not telling, and so it could be buried, it could be hidden. Finally, the Russians kind of gave up, and they thought, we'll just make another one. So they have made another one. Not quite as glorious. That first one has like the red, amber brown. Oh, you've got to look it up on Google. Just look up Amber Room, Russia, history, documentary, what happened to it. It'll all pop up, and you can learn about it. And so amber is really special. I love it. I never really knew about amber. I was never into amber until maybe, I don't know, 15 years ago, 10 years ago. We used to go to Leavenworth, a little German town we have. And there's a wonderful lady, had a little Russian shop, and she sold amber. And so and she was so nice. It was very reasonable. She would just weigh whatever the silver weighed on the amber she charged, and the amber wasn't charged for because it's so light. And so it was very reasonable, and so I got my first piece of amber, and I just started studying it, and now I have many friends who just are in love with it, and they're learning more about it, and it's fun. And God's creation is so vast. I mean, even Mount St. Helens down to the south of me, many of you have seen. After all of that ash fell, it turned into beautiful greenish blue jewel tones, and they've made jewelry out of that. I've seen it advertised in magazines. I don't have any of that, but nature creates beauty. God has given us variety. The bay, the flowers, these wonderful, 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 rhododendrons. They also grow in Scotland. I remember visiting a home in Scotland. Dear friends, their name was Gun Russell near Edinburgh. They had a fabulous house. It was like a Pride and Prejudice house. It was a manor house out in the country with property. And up their driveway as you drove, I was visiting them in May. The whole road was lined with rhododendrons, like 20, 30 feet high, just on both sides, every color. I'll never forget it. Because my parents, the house I grew up in, had huge rhododendron hedge. My parents had made it into a hedge. And it was so tall, they were always having to trim it. And it was at least 15 feet high, but it would go higher, then they would trim it. And so I thought, oh, I'm home. Here's the rhododendrons. So Scotland has a similar climate to the Pacific Northwest. Yes, it does. And England and Germany and Holland and Norway. All of the Northwest has that. Lots of rain and then lots of sun in the summer, and it makes things grow. You have to pay a price to have trees. It's called rain, but I love it. I don't mind it one bit. Well, this has been so special, and I'll just show you the tea tray again. Let's turn it around with the flower on it. And most of you are not going to be traveling internationally. It feels hard to travel. We can just travel in our own homes with our own china, our own little tea cakes, our own imagination, and our own good, wonderful friends. Yes. So have a tea party. Enjoy the rest of April. It's almost gone. Next week will be a May Day tea talk. Can't believe we're going to enter to May. And don't forget, May 2nd is the National Day of Prayer. Yes. And there's events all over America, all over the state. Morning events, noon events, evening events. I'm working and I'm part of an evening event in our rotunda. I'm excited about it. So if any of you can come, it's at 7 o'clock, Washington State Capitol Rotunda, May 2nd, next Thursday. You're welcome to come. Well, thank you so much for joining me. This has been special indeed. And if you haven't subscribed to my channel, please subscribe. Oh, here's Vivaldi. Wonderful. And push the notification bell and you'll get notified. And please make a comment if you want to. And the like button is always nice. And share with a friend, please. And I will look forward to seeing you next time. Yes. Thank you so much. God bless. Have a fabulous week.